Well, Kerry, I think this is as good a time as any to get into some of the more, I guess, oddball theories that I've heard attributed to you.
And, all right, yeah.
Could we go back to the mind control one, Ken?
Yeah.
Actually, let's back up and go to that.
That's the one I wanted to go.
By the way, occasionally succumbed to what is known as the assassination crazies. And I'd be the first to admit it, you know. I have gone off on tangents.
But I think you make a good point. I talked to John Stockwell a little bit when he was here in St. Louis, Kerry, and I think you make a good point in saying that people that aren't well-versed or have not researched intelligence operations and mode of operation would think some of this is really crackpot stuff. Yeah, well, but it's very real stuff, and MK Ultra should have opened some eyes. Yeah. And Operation Paperclip should have opened some eyes, but
that stuff only scratches the surface.
Yeah,
though. They've had far more sophisticated stuff, and who they are, I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
But somebody in the intelligence community, and the CIA denies that it's them.
Yeah.
Has had far more, had the stuff that they claim they're just developing at this time, have had it since the 50s. Somebody's been able to minutely mind control people, to an extent of influencing their choices of words and so on and so forth.
How would that electrode implant actually take place? Would that have to be a surgical incision? Or
well, I developed, the reason I think there was an implant is because I developed a boil on the back of my neck, right in the center of my neck, right at the base of my skull. And I spent a lot of time in New Orleans talking to a guy who I realize in retrospect was connected with the intelligence community, that I believe probably was involved in the assassination. He wasn't Oswald, however. He was another guy. I think he may have been Howard Hunt. Whoever he was, he had a bald head. Other than that, he looked like Hunt. That guy mentioned the business about the implants at the base of the skull.
And that would not have been David Ferry.
It wasn't David Ferry. I met David Ferry. It wasn't him. I met him at a party one night. I was introduced to him. I didn't realize that when I testified. When I read Harold Weisberg's book later on, I noticed that David Ferry lived on Louisiana Avenue, and that reminded me that I attended a party on Louisiana Avenue. I did meet David Ferry. We just shook hands, however. This guy was not David Ferry.
Interrupt you, so go ahead. You're telling me that you met a person in New Orleans.
I talked with a man about assassinating Kennedy for about 3 years in New Orleans, from right after the Bay of Pigs invasion until 2 weeks before the assassination. In fact, he asked me, he was talking about who to frame for it, and I said, why don't you frame some communist? And he smirked, and I didn't realize why he was smirking at the time. Basically, I don't think they were pumping me for ideas about the assassination. I think they were setting me up to frame somebody, because he was using somebody else's name other than his own. And I think the idea was that I would go up before the Warren Commission and I would say that I'd talked to this guy about assassinating Kennedy in New Orleans. And the reason that didn't work was because I didn't believe in conspiracy theories in those days. So I didn't realize that I'd been part of a conspiracy. You know, it's like, to me, conspiracies just didn't exist. That was something Birchers believed in, as far as I was concerned at the time.
And what name was this person going by when you...
Gary Kirsten was the name he was using. He left trails of evidence that he might be somebody else, to 2 or 3 mutually exclusive trails of evidence. One of them that he might be a mad scientist named Tom Mitt, who had been one of Hitler's scientists, and another one that he might be Mortimer Bloomfield of the Permindex Corporation. I don't think he was any of the above, though. I think he probably was Howard Hunt. Watergate was what convinced me of the relevance of these conversations with this man. Up until then, I didn't even think they were relevant.
Does the name Robert Stowe come into play there? Did you know that?
What's the last name?
Robert Stowe, S-T-O-W-E, in Army Intelligence. Was he a person?
Unless I met him, the same night I met David Ferry, we went over to a party at the Wagaspak's house, a rather well-to-do family in New Orleans that I understand are involved in conspiracy politics. I've heard rumors that they are anyway. In what way, I don't know. There was a guy there, and I don't know why that name seems to ring a bell. Anyway, there was some 1912 overture was his favorite. And that type of very military type of guy. But I don't know that his name was Robert Stowe.
Stowe is the local guy, Phil?
Right. He's a person that was real active here in St. Louis in different poetry and art presentations, and I got to know him. And I knew that he had worked in Army Intelligence in the 50s, and in a short conversation one evening, he mentioned that he had met Lee Oswald in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah?
And I never got a chance to examine the subject because he died under kind of mysterious circumstances right here in St. Louis. But he had a long career in Army Intelligence.
Yeah, well, I doubt if I've ever met him. That is the one occasion where I might have. And that somebody that I would suspect was probably Army Intelligence was on that occasion.